I'm here today with Chris Sanigar from, of course, Sanigar Events here in your beautiful Bristol Boxing Gym. How are you all doing? And thank you for obviously having us here today as well.
Lovely, thank you. Have a big welcome, all right? It's your first time?
First time in the gym. I've been in Easton hundreds of times. I've driven on the main road up there, but I've never actually been in the gym. For this one, I think just talk about obviously your career and everything you've been able to get up to so far. And for me, the obvious starting point in that is when you got your promoters or your management license in 1989, took over the gym here, obviously was Empire ABC. What was your thought process behind that? Obviously getting your license and then going into management after you had a professional boxing career.
Yes, well, I was up there in London when I boxed professionally, and I always knew I'd be in management and training. I was like a train spotter with the boxing. When I got the boxing news, I'd read it through. I could recite it. You know, I just knew every fight, every show. And when I was in London, there was shows after shows. So, you know, there'd be like 3 shows a week at times. So I'd be there at every show.
And obviously this, like I said, used to be Empire ABC, and now in the background you've got Empire Fighting Chance, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But how good is it to be able to take over what is quite a historic gym? Obviously it wasn't in this location originally, but the old Empire ABC and now Bristol Boxing Gym.
Yes, originally we were over the road in St Paul's. That was when Dennis Welsh had the Empire Sports Club. Okay. Then our old trainers, the old Billy Walker and Alan Thompson, ran the Empire ABC. Then really it was just a transgression. I boxed amateur for the Empire, and then really sort of went into training when I got returned. I returned back to Bristol sort of 86. I had a few years helping with the amateurs, looking around to see potential guys that could turn professional and make the grade. Yeah, so you know, it's been an amazing journey. You know, firstly starting off at the old gym, and then eventually coming here in 2015. Like you said, bit by bit, I've sort of taken over the reins really from everybody else. My son Jamie likewise. We also have the Empire Fighting Chance, where that's Jamie and Martin Bisp are the co-founders, and they've just taken it. I always envisioned a charity just helping the local community, but Martin and my son Jamie, they've actually taken it global. They've been to Colombia, they've been to USA, they've been to Saudi. I mean, you know, and likewise with the England boxing, you know, they're very close and integrated with them.
And you talk about obviously local community, and I think that's something that's clearly quite important to you guys here. I've seen on your website and stuff, there's lots of talk about Southwest and how, you know, it's very important that you keep Southwest boxing alive. There's not a huge amount of promoters in this part of the country. But what was the decision from you to move a lot into Welsh boxing as well? Obviously no Welsh connection directly from yourself, but you really do have a lot of Welsh fighters, the likes of Lee Selby, Andrew Selby, that you obviously managed as well.
Well, it goes back a long way with the Welsh boxing. Actually, I boxed several Welsh boxers myself. I boxed Ray Tutton. I boxed Charlie Brown, Gil Collins, you know, Jeff Pegler. There's 5 I can think of. I'm sure there'll be a couple more as well. And always great fights, you know, when you box the Welshman. So we had this connection with Wales. I worked very closely with Frank Warren in the 90s, 95 to 98. Those were the glory days here. Big sponsors were Empress at the time, with Di Gardner. He had great fighters, Robbie Regan and Robinson. God, Steve Robinson. God, I hope when he sees me, I hope he don't hit me. So I watched all Steve Robinson's fights all the way through. Do you know what I mean? Naturally, it was a Cinderella story where he took the world title opportunity with 48 hours notice. Went up north and beat the local guy. That then came back and then knocked off all the best boxers that Frank Warren had. They were great shows down at the ice rink. Yes, they were the glory days. I worked in association with Frank Warren and doing the shows down in Wales, and just sort of kept it going. But naturally, the talent went a bit then. The big fights weren't here. Joe Calzaghe was just coming through. But likewise, a lot of his contests were up in London. And bit by bit, I then paired up with Tony Borg. 2006, I went over with the Welsh team. We went to Melbourne, signed a few of the boxers, got ourselves a team, and put the shows on at Newport. I think it was the first time that over 10 years there'd been a non-TV show there. So it was the really start of a beginning there with Tony Borg and his team.
And with Tony Borg and obviously Lee Selby is the one that comes to mind in terms of fairly recently, world champion and a really top boxer, managed by yourself. Talk to us a little bit about Lee, because everything I've heard about Lee is, he was the hardest working man in the room. He was always willing to give it his all, and obviously that then rewarded him down the line as well.
Without a doubt, he got the rewards for his hard work. He was an amazing talent, and it just goes to show that discipline and determination, can get you through from small hall shows, to the very, very, very top.
And a beautiful story I read fairly recently on BBC. I missed it at the time when it came out. There was a Ukrainian refugee, Vladimir, that you guys helped out here at the gym when he came over from Ukraine. Can you talk to me a little bit about that as well?
Yes, I mean, to be honest, there's numerous guys that we do things for, not just me, but the whole club, especially Empire Fighting Chance. But I think it was the guy from one of the churches. I go to E5 Pentecostal, and so he contacted me and said, "Chris, would you have this lad? He's been doing boxing in Ukraine. He's just come over as a refugee." And I said, "Certainly, of course we will." And then they came and they said, "Well, what? He's going to find difficult. Don't worry about the subs. Let's just let him get in. Let's get him working." And yes, and lo and behold, I don't know how, but it sort of got to the ears of BBC, and they come down and done a piece on it. Yes.
And you talked about Empire Fighting Chance and obviously the charity work that Jamie and that they do there. What is Empire Fighting Chance for those people who don't know it, and what is the sort of thing that Empire Fighting Chance looks to do for kids in boxing?
Basically, it's just helping children. And right through to young adults as well. We sort of used the boxing as the hook, as regards guys that are borderline, boys and girls that are borderline, we've been taken out of schooling. They come down here, they do sessions, maybe they do homeschooling, and then it's about getting them back to the mainstream again.
And how powerful is boxing for that sort of thing? I think when you look at all across the board, there's so many success stories in boxing of kids that came from places that obviously aren't ideal and have gone on to make champions of themselves. How brilliant can boxing be at harnessing its power to get kids off the street or into an institution like this where they can enjoy themselves and be part of a community?
Yeah. Well, I would say the boxing is the #1 sport for boys and girls. You know, they can come down here. We have classes. We have 4:15 to 5:15, 5:15 to 6:15, 2 1-hour classes. We have that 4 days a week. We charge them £5 for the whole week. So you could come down 4 times, you know what I mean? Now, a lot of them is just good babysitting for the parents. But they come down, they learn their camaraderie, you know, the discipline, and making good friends and people with a positive outlook. And, you know, it's wonderful to see the attendance and bit by bit, they can go on to whatever, you know what I mean, make successes of their lives.
And I suppose this is possibly a difficult question because obviously you're still very much, you know, in and working, but how proud are you to look back at everything you've done both here at the gym and in terms of from a manager point of view of all of those boxers that you've led to world championships, you know, the likes of Lee Haskins, Adrian Stone, obviously I mentioned Lee as well, there's numerous more up on the walls in the other gym. How proud are you of what you've been able to achieve, particularly from yourself and for those boxers as well?
Yes, naturally the champions stand out, of course they do, but also it's just the ordinary guy who may have had 5 or 7 or 12 fights, whether it's amateur or professional, just to be able to help them, and that's really the prize for us. Yeah, and I get lots of people come in. They say, "Oh, yeah, before they were saying it was their dad who'd come down. Now they're saying, oh, my granddad used to train with you," and that, you know, and it's good. It's good. As well as you know, I'm managing now Lee Haskins' son, Anton Haskins. I'm managing Logan Dorrington, Darren Dorrington's son. I did before with Sean Baker, Josh, you know, the other boy, Drew Wedlake. I managed his dad, Greg Wedlake. You know, so that to me is maybe the biggest honor, to be able to say I've managed a guy and now he's going to bring his son there. You know, and yeah, that's sort of the biggest honor I think that I got, compliment I could be paid.
And the last one from me. Small hall boxing and smaller show boxing is slowly getting more and more difficult to put on from a lot of what, you know, I've heard from people. Obviously the prices of referees, of announcers, everything goes up and it's all very difficult. But how important is it to continue putting on these shows and for people to continue to come through the door to watch these boxers fight, to allow them then to kick on to the bigger and better things that they see on the Sky Sports and DAZN and these various platforms?
You know, it's very, very important that we get the support at grassroots level. You know, it's all right watching these big shows, but without grassroots level, I honestly think there would be no foundation. And you know yourself, if you've got no foundation in any business, it will topple. And you know, it's okay, you know, watching these big fights, but they had to come up somewhere. You know, a lot of the boxers at the very, very top are ex-Olympians. They're multi-nations champions, but there are the few like the 3 of our boys, Glenn Catley, Lee Haskins, and Lee Selby and Adrian Stone. All 4 of those came up from the small hall shows. Yeah. And
I mean, the name that comes to my mind when I think of it is possibly because of recency is Gavin Gwynn, obviously someone you guys have worked with as well. He was fighting at the Cardiff Vale, where you guys now put your shows only a couple of years before he was, you know, on a big Saudi show under Anthony Joshua. We've got a show coming up in the Cardiff Vale. June the 1st. Quickly, how important is it that people come down and watch that, and why should they come down and watch that?
It's very, very important. We've now become the sole promoter there with the Cardiff Bell Arena. Peter Griffiths has put a lot of faith in us to actually deliver a better quality show. I've told him we can do it. You know, our next show, we've got two Welsh title fights, and also on the rest of the fight card. So we're looking at maybe 12 fights on the night. It should be a great night, and that's what we want to do. I'm working very closely, of course, with Tony Board. You know what I mean? But now Lee Selby's training a few of the boxers. Okay, we're working closely now with Gary Lockett, Enzo McAnally, Gavin Rees, and we're just trying to bring it all together to push Welsh boxing.
Perfect. That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for talking to us about that one. We'll catch up with you obviously shortly as well on some of your fighter news and future fight news as well. But for the time being, thank you for that one.
Okay, mate. Lovely. Thank you.